Hello, Dr. Mary.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Mary. So, Dr. Mary, welcome to our Global Virtual Summit. And Soumya will be briefing you about your introduction, and then we can move on with your presentation. Thanks for being with us.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our next keynote speaker, Dr. Mary Reddy. Is the esteemed founder and president of Almenta International. Her affinity for teaching became evident early in life. Even as a child, growing up in Zimbabwe, it was a career-launching passion that she leveled to become a consultant, speaker, and global authority on customer centricity. Since 2008, Dr. Ritz has impacted tens of thousands customers, teams, and leaders around the world with her custom solutions. Using a research-based approach, her work focuses specifically on the three human elements: discipline, customer eternity transformation, leadership, and team development, proven to directly impact organizational performance. So, great, Mary. Let's jump in.
Wonderful.
It is
Thank you
yours.
so much.
Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that great introduction. I really appreciate it. And thank you very much for the opportunity and for all those great speakers that have gone before me. I have followed as much as I can. Very inspiring stories and learnings. So let's get started in the customer centricity, creating a competitive advantage. In this session, we are going to focus on your business, on your organization, so to speak. So as we move forward right now, I just want to ask you some questions. All right, let's see. I am trying to advance my slides, so bear with me. All right. I'm trying to advance my slides. For some reason, it's not, they're not moving. They're not moving right now. So bear with me as I get even my arrow.
We can see your slides, Dr.
Yeah,
Mary.
but I need them to move. They're not moving right now, even using my arrows.
Your arrow or enter, down arrow.
Yes, that's also not moving. Would you like to drive for me so that I don't take a lot of time on here?
From our end, yeah.
Yes, okay,
Can
so
you
I'll
share
stop
the
sharing.
presentation?
Yeah, I'll stop sharing. Thank you so much.
Please share the presentation and we will do it from our end. Is it okay?
Sure, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. 2 minutes and we'll be back.
As we are waiting for the slides to come up, I'd like to ask the audience, what do you think customer centricity is? What do you think it is? If you've got an answer for that, you can say it in the chat. And I'd like you to compare the answer that you're giving me to what you're going to discover at the end of the presentation. So just to keep us going, what is customer centricity?
customers are the ultimate client, ultimate.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Very good. And what is product centricity? You know, we're going to be talking about those two things. What do you think is the difference? Okay. Very good. So let's go to the next slide. Let's jump in right in.
Next slide.
That's not mine. Is that the way you create your products, keeping your customers as or prime focus? Very good. That's it. Very good. That's very good. I like that idea. I like that response in the chat. It looks like I've lost my host as well. I don't see them. The host, I don't see them anymore. Let me try and see if I can share again there. Let's see. All right. All right. Can you see it? I hope you can all see it. Okay, very good. Is it advancing? If you can just let me know if it is advancing.
Yes, we can see that, Dr. Mary.
Okay, but is it advancing is my question.
No, it's not bouncing.
It's not advancing.
Second slide, go ahead. Yeah, please continue.
Okay, but I cannot continue without the slides advancing.
We're sharing from our end. We are on the first slide, so second slide, please.
Okay, so let me stop sharing because I was sharing already. Okay, could you bring up yours?
Yes, we'll bring your presentation from our end. Yeah.
All right, okay. So could we try the next slide, please? All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. I think we're in business, and to our audience, I apologize for that technical hiccup, but I promise you we're going to be on the roll right now. So think about it. We have this concept that we call creative destruction. If you look at it from an economic perspective, that's when an economy shifts. Something happens within the economy that then it shifts. So think about what happened in COVID, after COVID. What happened? We had our business model changed and turned upside down. You see now a lot of people are doing conferences like we are online across the globe. Your work and your employees are now working remotely. The way that you interact with your teams is very, very different. There's a whole shift in the economy. Then secondly, you now have a customer or a customer base that is open to the global market. Therefore, they have become sophisticated, they've become quite demanding, and also the expectations are very, very high. So where does it leave you as an organization? On top of that, we are now working in a world that we call the VUCA. It is very volatile, it's unknown, it's unpredictable, it's ambiguous, it's very chaotic. And then you've got competition. You've got competition now, not only in your local market, whichever part of the world that you're in, you're competing with everybody. So what makes you different? What makes you stand out? Next slide, please. So in today's program, I'm going to introduce you to the concept of customer centricity and how it can help you differentiate yourselves from the rest, so to speak, by putting the customer at the core of the organization. So we are going to discover what customer centricity is by mastering what it is, number one. Number two, we are going to talk about the customer centricity perspective, which are the ethos, the beliefs, and the cultures around being customer centric. Then finally, I'm going to give you some strategies on how you can successfully implement customer centricity. Those are 3 objectives for today. Next slide, please. So when we talk about customer centricity, we are talking of a business model. It's not a theory. It's not a way of doing. It's literally a business model. There are 2 business models that I focus on. They are called product-centric and customer-centric. A customer-centric business model is one that puts the customer at the center and works around its capabilities to ensure that the customer is at the center. So when we talk about the entire business engine being focused on the customer, we're talking about your products, we're talking about your HR, we're talking about every aspect of your organization, understanding that the customer is the center of the organization. Therefore, business decisions, first, before we make them, we understand what is the impact on the customer. Next slide, please. And in a customer-centric organization, the value that we want to build is for the organization, yes, but we're also wanting to create value for the customer and also value for all the stakeholders in the value chain. So everybody wins in the community of doing business. On the product-centric, on the other hand, which is the second business model, this is where an organization places its focus on products that it develops. It's really obsessed by its product and how its products are great. Therefore, it's an organization that takes what we call the inside-out approach. They first satisfy their internal needs, depending on how they're driving their products, their innovations, and then think of the customer second. Meanwhile, the customer centricity, they actually develop their products and innovations based on the customer needs. The product-centric organization is very short-term focused versus a long-term focus. I can spend hours and hours defining this, but for the sake of our time, let's move on to the next slide, please. Now that we have an understanding of those definitions, right, let's look at the genuine comparison. For a product-centric organization, it's about selling those products, right? All right, as many as we can and to as many customers as possible. In a customer-centric organization, yes, we innovate for the customer, but it's about identifying the right customer, solving their problems, and our products are really a means to an end. They are not the beginning and the end. All right, the ultimate answer is not within the products, but the outcome that the product produces. So now I'm asking you, business owner, entrepreneur, manager who is running on an organization, what is your philosophy? Are you really innovating? Are you really producing your products and you just want to cover them to as many people as possible? Then on the product-centric organization, they consider employees, human resources as a cost and an expense. In a customer-centric organization, they consider employees an asset. They believe that as much as we want to treat customers with equal dignity, we also want to apply the same philosophy for our customers. They take, again, the product-centric. organizations, they take what we call the inside-in approach. Have you ever called a brand and then you ask them to solve your problem for you? And the answer they give you is like, no, we cannot do that because our systems will not allow us to do that, or our compliance will not allow us to do that. It's beyond our control. Those are organizations that are focused on their internal success, and they forget to look at the outside in, understanding the customer. Next slide, please. So what are the barriers, so to speak, to customer centricity and to customer service? I mean, to customer centricity and product centricity. There's a whole chapter on this, but I'm going to give you two things. In a product-centric organization, the decision makers focus on short-term. Therefore, if you're focusing on short-term performance, you really look at maximizing your profits at whatever cost for the immediate. Look at organizations that are now gone out of business. All right. Those are organizations that were based on their products, but those products got duplicated. Let's talk about BlackBerry. BlackBerry was an organization that was doing very, very well. Talk about the fax, right? Talk about Blockbuster. These are brands that were flagship at one point, but they did not innovate, or rather they innovated, but they forgot to look after the trends and the customer and where the customer was going. In a customer-centric organization, yes, they have barriers, like it's quite complex to implement customer centricity, but the benefits of customer centricity outweigh the product-centric organization. The other main difference, as you will see on the slide, is that in a customer-centric organization, they're better at delivering customer service, customer experience, customer focus, and customer success. They are more consistent, which means that they have a loyal base. They maximize their profitability in the long term. In the product-centric organization, yes, they can produce great customer service, customer experience, but it's not as consistent because, again, they're driven by their internal capabilities. Next slide, please. So I'd like you now to be thinking about, what is your organization? What is your business? All right. Are you product-centric? Are you customer-centric? All right. High-level benefits of customer centricity. I'm going to go through them very quickly for the sake of our time. Customer centricity gives you maximum retention and loyalty. It's repeat business. Improves competitive advantage and sustainability. It delivers on superior customer experience, as I had alluded to. And it also challenges the status quo. Remember what I mentioned at the beginning. We are in a creative destruction where we can't think of business in the same ways that we used to think about business. Customer centricity evokes you to think differently, to think creatively, and to find solutions in places that you could not have even imagined. Next slide, please. All right. My first question to you, as I've given you this quick background around customer centricity and product centricity, what is your organization? Is it product centric or customer centric? All right. I would love to see some responses in the chat. All right. And then I'm going to give you 45 seconds to reflect on these. Do you believe Target is product centric or customer centric? How about Zappos, Walmart, dealers, HubSpot, the Ritz-Carlton, IBM, Apple? What do you think from the high level that I've given you? As you're thinking about that, I'd like you to think about this. 90% of organizations is estimated are product-centric. About 10% are customer-centric. So think about that as you consider your answer. All right, I'm seeing somebody who's saying they're customer-centric. Very, very good job. Very, very good job. So let me surprise you here. Again, these are my opinions according to my research. As you're beginning to dive into this theory of customer centricity, I'd like you to really understand what it is, and then you can tell the difference and make up your own minds. Target is product centric. Walmart, I'm sure most of us would agree, is product centric. Dealers, as much as it's a prime brand, is also product centric. Apple is transitioning from product centricity to customer centricity. IBM, a customer centric organization. Amazon, a customer centric organization. Amazon were the first really pioneer in gathering customer feedback and acted on the customer feedback. But for the sake of our time, we're going to move forward. And yes, somebody else said Amazon is customer centric. Great job. Apple, you're right. Apple is transitioning from product centricity to customer centricity. Well done for the participation. Let's move on to the next slide. Now that we've understood that, I just want you to think about it. What can you borrow from these definitions? How can you start to think differently about your organization? But we don't have time to dig deeper into those questions. Let's move on to the next part of the presentation. Next slide, please. Now we've given you a high-level understanding and mastering of customer centricity. Now let's understand what we call the customer perspective, customer centricity perspectives. These are the ways that customer-centric organizations focus on business, approach business. There are normally 13 that I talk to, but today I'm going to talk to you about 5, all right? Number 1, customer-centric organizations understand that not all customers are of equal value. They understand that 20% of their customers give them the best value. Therefore, they focus on the 20%. They co-create with the 20%. They innovate for the 20%. They provide high-quality customer experience to the 20%. Then what happens to the 80%? Please do not ignore the 80%. Your whole idea is to transition those 80% to be a part of the 20%. All right. These 20% become your strategic partners. So you gotta segment and understand who they are. Then systems thinking approach number 2. It means that they solve problems holistically, end to end. The customer belongs to the entire business engine. All businesses that we make, we understand how they impact the customer. Then number 3, higher purpose, triple bottom line. They're not focused on profits only that benefits their shareholders. They focus on the planet. They focus on people, and then profit. And then they bring value in the community that they do business in. All right, I'd like you to look up a company called Patagonia. This is an organization that is impacting the world and the planet, so to speak. So they're just not obsessed about who they are, okay? And I want to drop this. If your target audience is Generation Z and Generation Y specifically, you got to start to think about the higher purpose, because those customers really focus on what you're doing for the planet. Number 4, immersion in the customer's world, which means that you understand the pain points of your customers. You know them and you co-create or you innovate on their behalf. You don't leave them behind, which means that you can actually visit your customers, see them in action, identify maybe the gaps that they cannot even articulate, and you can articulate for them. Then we have this concept called the market space versus market share. There's nothing wrong with you gaining market share. But when we talk about market space, we are talking about organizations that can even play in markets that they don't belong by joining forces, even with their collaborators or with their competitors. So you could go to a dealer's, you could go to a Walmart. If they don't have the product that you're looking for, they can say, oh, go to another grocery store. They're easily referring you to other players. The whole idea is to support you in reaching your outcomes. So those are the 5 customer-centric perspectives. Not all customers are of equal value. Systems thinking approach, holistic approach to business. The triple bottom line, profits, people, and planet. And then immersion in the customer world, and likely, and the last one is the market space versus market share. Let's move on. Next slide. I would like you to reflect on these questions. Which of these perspectives resonate with you and why? Which of these perspectives could you foster in your culture? Which perspective challenges you and why? Because we are thinking outside the box now. We are turning our business upside down. It's what we call the new paradigm. It's no longer an old paradigm of doing business. All right, let's move ahead. Next slide, please. Now we have covered mastering customer centricity. We've understood the 5 perspectives of the 13 perspectives to customer centricity. And now let me give you a few strategies or where you can start. You can then say, Mary, where do I start? I'm a small business owner. I'm a large business. I'm a corporate. I'm part of a small group. I'm a part of a big organization. This is where you can start. Number 1, we want to first of all cultivate a customer-first culture. We do that by understanding our vision, our mission, and our values. Do our mission and values speak to the customer? If you look at Amazon's mission and vision, they all focus on the customer. Therefore, their business capabilities are made in such a way that they support that. Once we have that understanding, we make sure that all departments across the organization understand the mission and vision. Their objectives, their goals all align with the mission and the vision, so to speak. Leadership work hard to ensure that the vision and the mission for the customer cascades downward. But at the same time, they can also get insight from those that are actually in the front line, and they can take that insight and make business decisions based on that. Number 2, understanding customers and their needs. We need to really understand our customer profiling. If we are saying that customer centricity is obsessed about the 20% first, we want to understand who are they? How are they helping us? How can they become our strategic partners? How much business are they referring to us? What are their needs? What are their trends? And with that information, we can then transform our business to focus on them. Then the second thing we want to do is to collect the voice of customer. When we collect our customers' responses to feedback, then we want to quickly go ahead and implement that feedback, so to speak. So you can use surveys, you can use focus groups, you can use text, you can use survey monkeys. You've got to understand how your customers engage with you and then tailor how you collect the voice of the customer for them. That's number 2. Number 3, establishing customer relationships. Wow, you can't go wrong with that. All right. So understanding that each time that you're engaging with your customer, you got to provide excellent service, treat them with respect, listen and solve for them, understand that different customers require different things. So you got to understand how to treat each customer differently and personalize your service. Next slide, please. I went through that very, very quickly, but I want to just dwell on these questions. Where would you start in building a customer-centric organization? Some of you can quickly jump into the transition and transform, but some of you can borrow some ideas, all right, so that you can have a competitive advantage. How will you get buy-in from your team so that they can become customer centric. If you're the leader and you're on this call, it's better because you can decide and you can go and get buy-in and commitment from your employees. But if you're an employee, how then do you influence your manager, your leader, your CEO to start thinking differently? Again, it's all based in the fact that customer-centric organizations are more sustainable for the long term. Look at Amazon. For the first 20 years, Amazon did not make a single profit. But look at them now. That's a typical example of a customer-centric. Forgo the immediacy and go for the long term. How will you benefit from being customer-centric? I cannot emphasize this enough. Profitability, customer retention, customer advocacy, all that. We cannot build our businesses in isolation. It cannot be about our products. It cannot be about our processes or what we want as entrepreneurs. We want to make sure that we are attracting the right people and helping them solve for their best outcomes. Next slide. What are the 3 things that you're going to work on? What is the one thing that you're going to do tomorrow, having given you this information? I'd like you just to think about it. Next slide, please. This is a wide topic. I've literally condensed it. I would have loved to interact with you, but guess what? You can contact me on those. You can call me, text me, you can email me, you can find me on LinkedIn as Mary Ritz, PhD. You can go onto my website. I would love to continue the discussion with you and stay connected. Again, thank you very much for attending, and thank you very much, the conference event organizers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mary, Dr. Mary.
Thank you.
Yeah, we understand the importance of the customer-centric mindset, how you build up. You're given examples of Amazon and all these outstanding principles, how to stand out of the box in customer relations, maintaining the relations, and that, like, have out of the box question. What are the disadvantages of this?
Of the customer centricity model?
Yeah, is there any disadvantage?
Yes, they are there, but the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So the first thing that is there is that people don't even understand the difference. If you're talking about customer centricity, people think you're talking about customer service, customer experience, customer focus, as you can see. So that alone, the differentiating of the 3 or the 4, which is what I call the ecosystem of customer management, and separating it and making sure that people understand that it's a business model, which is end to end. It's not an outcome of the experience, so to speak. That's one challenge. The next challenge is to make sure that it is holistic. I mean, can you believe HR hiring for customer centricity, our processes and our technologies, making sure that they align with the vision of the customer? So it's wide, so to speak. But I want to emphasize, if you stay with it, it will give you better results. And you don't have to be customer centricity today. You can start engaging in small, I call it eat the elephant in small chunks. So understanding that you can just take a bit of it and a bit of it and then walk your way to customer centricity over a longer period of time.
Sure. So step by step.
Step by step. Thank you.
Yes. This is our expert, Dr. Mary. So people, please try to engage her in the business models. If you have any questions on this customer-centric models, please approach her. She's an outstanding, as we completely agree, it's the biggest topic, but you've made it very simple and to be understandable for others.
Sure.
But in a long run, we need to contact again you for further discussions and everything.
Thank you.
Dr. Mary, thanks for being with us. We will share you all the output of these questions and everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.